back, more Avatar The Last Airbender. This is episode 5 of season 2. Very excited as always to see what's going to be happening next. Last episode, they kind of went into this weird swamp place and mystical things were going on. Some not so mystical things were also going on. A good examination, I think, into some of the characters' fears and where they're at, their insecurities. A little exploration like that, which I quite enjoyed. And then we got a little bit of Zuko and Iroh still trying to get by. And Zuko masked up, I guess, again, as the Blue Spirit to take out a guy who kind of mocked Iroh a bit. I don't know if he killed him or just, you know, beat him up a bit. Maybe we'll never know. But it was cool to see, you know, a glimpse of them as well. But yeah, I guess the journey continues onwards, and let's get into the next one. How long have you been sleeping? Oh, that's horrible. Oh, hello. Oh, now what did the tree do? He... No, please. Ah, well, boomerangs always come back to you.
So there's time to get your scrolls and time to get your staff, but no time for my boomerang? That's correct.
Well, you didn't notice it soon enough, I'm afraid.
Have a nice Avatar Day.
Avatar Day?
You guys are going to the festival, right?
Look! That's the biggest me I've ever seen.
Wow. I mean, yours looks a bit scarier than the other two. Oh. So it's an anti-Avatar Day. I feel like that's false advertising. Aha! Oh, are you just stealing food now? Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, you could leave them one bucket, right?
Where did you get these?
What does it matter where they came from?
Yeah. First the horse thing and then the food. Maybe change your clothes, pal. Uh-oh.
That party pooper's ruining Avatar Day! I suggest you leave. You're not welcome here, Avatar.
I mean, I gathered that.
Aang helps people.
It was Avatar Kyoshi. She murdered our glorious leader, Chin the Great.
Oh.
You think that I murdered someone?
Was Chin the Great actually Chin the Not So Great?
You'll have to follow all our rules. That includes paying bail.
No problem. How was I supposed to know they wouldn't take water tribe money?
Oh dear. These folks would be awful with new doctors in Doctor Who, wouldn't they?
The crime happened over 300 years ago.
That's okay, Sokka. For some reason, I thought you were an expert detective.
Well, I guess I could be classified as such.
Yeah, back home, he was famous.
Give him
for
any
solving
compliment, he'll
mysteries
do whatever you
and
want.
I'm gonna need some new props. I'm ready.
Oh god.
What?
Hello there. I really want that Blue Spirit mask.
This is the footprint of the killer, Kyoshi. It was at sunset, 370 years ago.
That's done well to preserve that footprint
She
for 300
emerged
years.
from the temple and struck down Chin the Great. This temple and this statue were cut from the same stone. And we know that the statue was built after Chin died.
So if they were built at the same time, that means...
I want to solve it! That means Kyoshi never set foot in this temple.
Oh my god.
We need to go to Kyoshi Island.
Where'd you get that?
You're going to fit in real well around here.
What the hell?
What's Suki up to? Is she around? Actually,
I was wondering if they were going to ask after her.
To fight in the war. Kids had
Ah.
a big impact on Suki. She said you inspired her, that she wanted to help change the world. Oh, well, that's great.
Oh, he's sad she's not here.
These fans, they were her weapons, no? Also refrain from touching.
She was a big fan of them.
These were her boots?
I feel like I made that
They
joke
must have
before,
been
but...
enormous. Big feet? Little footprints? There's no way.
Aha!
Special outfit, hat and pipe. These things mean anything to you?
You're right. I'm sorry. Please.
Aha! There's no way Kiyoshi could have made that footprint. And therefore there is...
This girl you're talking about, she'll come around. You just gotta hang in there.
You think so?
Sure.
Yeah, you're a catch.
I don't know.
Aw.
Don't be afraid to tell her how you feel.
Oh.
This piece is
I fear I misjudged those folks.
This ceremony didn't take place at sunrise. It took place at sunset. Look at the shadows.
They point east, so the sun
Clever.
must have been in the west.
So what? If Kiyoshi was in the ceremony at sunset, she couldn't have been in Shen committing the crime.
Honorable
Probably
Mayor,
deserved.
Evidence? That's not how our court system works.
Then how
Oh.
can I prove my innocence?
Simple. I say what happened, and then you say what happened, and then I decide who's right. That's why we call it justice.
But I was in a painting at sunset. So there you have it. I'm not guilty.
He's dead.
There is a simple honor in poverty.
There's no honor for me without the Avatar.
Zuko, even if you did capture the Avatar, I'm not so sure it would solve our problems. Not now.
No.
And there's no hope at all.
Hope is something you give yourself. That is the meaning of inner strength.
What a wise man.
I'm going to call Avatar Kiyoshi herself.
Ugh. Oh my god.
Maybe wearing her stuff will trigger something.
I do believe in the power of stuff.
Hey everybody, Avatar Kiyoshi here.
This is ridiculous.
A little bit. Oh. Here she is.
I killed Chin the Conqueror. I warned him that I would not sit passively while he took our home. But he did not back down.
His footprints. Bye. I can't wait for Aang to do stuff like that. Might be great. Wow.
Guilty. Bring out the wheel of punishment.
I mean, it wasn't really Kiyoshi's fault.
We no longer have anything to gain by traveling together.
Oh.
I need to find my own way.
Oh. No. Aww. Oh, that's sad.
Accused will now spin the wheel.
Break the wheel.
Come on, torture machine!
Eaten by bears! Razor's head!
Community service. Community service.
Now show me your leader, Soemi! Dethrone him.
That's him over there. You, Avatar, do something.
Gee, I'd love to. I'm supposed to be boiled in oil.
Oh well.
There, community service.
Who'd have thought the Fire Nation kind of saved the day here, really? Oh my. No! Uh-oh. Hey!
You always come back!
It always bewilders me when they never really start with that.
We'll celebrate a new Avatar Day. In honor of the day, Avatar Aang saved us from the rough
Hooray!
invasion.
What is this?
Unfried dough. May we eat it and be reminded of how on this day the Avatar was not boiled in oil.
Hooray!
This is by far the worst town we've ever been to.
Okay, another really solid episode overall. I liked the concept of an anti-Avatar Day, as it started off being, with all the floats and stuff, and just a bit more like world building, seeing another village, seeing it get set alight, as is par for the course with a lot of villages that these guys visit. But I liked the idea of the current Avatar being held accountable for the crimes of previous ones. Like, should that even happen? Should it not? I think there could be a really interesting debate about that, given the fact that, Aang doesn't remember, like, everything all the old Avatars did. I guess they're technically different bodies and stuff. But it was interesting to, like, put him on trial for something Kiyoshi did way back when, or didn't do. That was a thing which he was like, oh yes, I killed him. But when we actually saw it, he just kind of didn't move away from the edge of the cliff, which was a bit dumb of him, and then fell off. But maybe that's just an unreliable narrator, and she actually did kill him or anything. But I liked how they kind of had all that going on, and this little village blamed the Avatar for something that happened, like, what was it, like 300 years ago, something like that. And they kind of had to get Aang out of it. I liked the little detective work that Sokka and Katara were off doing. I always enjoy when they pair Sokka and Katara together for a little side story, like just the siblings, because I like their sibling relationship quite a bit. So it was nice to see Sokka get a bit too into the Sherlock Holmes-esque role-playing with the hat and the pipe and everything. And Katara was just as capable, really, of working things out. But Sokka wanted the glory, because I think, again, that can lead into some past insecurities where he may have felt like he may be, because he doesn't have powers and stuff, there's not as much he could maybe offer, which again is nonsense. But also, he had just lost his boomerang, so even like in a physical fight, he wouldn't be able to do everything that he'd want to do, so that might have brought those insecurities to the surface again. Then he has this opportunity to maybe play detective and be a hero like that. And if Aang and Katara, kind of goad him into it by singing his praises about how great a detective he is, he then isn't going to be kind of mopey and hold them back from making any progress in the situation, and actually actively get involved in it. So I liked everything with that. It provided a lot of comedy as well. And Katara just being totally done when she was working it out, but Sokka wouldn't let her say it out loud because he wanted to be the one with the glory, which felt very true to the characters and said a lot about their dynamic, I suppose. So that was all very cool, and I liked seeing them visit the different sites, work it out from there, with the footprint and everything. And then, knowing that they needed to get more answers, they went to see Kyoshi Island, which was really fun, because again, they're just revisiting a place we've seen before, people we've seen before. I liked how that kind of was brought back into it, and we got like the origin story for it as well, because we got the origin for Omashu, really, a couple of episodes back, and how that all kind of came to be, and where the name came from, and stuff like that in episode 2. So it was cool to get, learn a bit more about Kyoshi Island and see it get formed and made to escape, this kind of tyrannical guy. So that was cool, and to see Aang actually be inhabited by Kyoshi's spirit, I suppose, and she actually appeared, which I suppose does lead into the argument that maybe we should hold them responsible for other Avatar's crimes if they can just do that. But the idea of like dressing Aang up as Kyoshi to kind of call her to the body or whatever, and that was a neat idea. I like that there does seem to be potential to maybe rely on previous Avatars in that way, and I'd like to think, I've heard a lot of talks that they're going to do a lot more with the Avatar universe. I think there's like a new studio working on new projects and stuff, so it'd be cool if there's like loads of stuff set with like future avatars, things like that. I feel like Legend of Korra is about a future Avatar, maybe. Either way, someone could like call on Aang in the same kind of way. That'd be a fun way of tying things together. I don't know if that would even work or be the case, or this was like a one-off special circumstance, but I like tying a previous avatar's crimes into everything, seeing the origin of Kyoshi, Sokka asking after Suki, because that was sort of a love interest for him, I think, earlier on. That was like episode 4 of season 1, I think, wasn't it, when we first went to Kyoshi? It was a while ago now. So I like that they still brought her up just for continuity's sake. She's off and away. So it's kind of a shame that we didn't actually get to see her. But maybe we still will at some point. If she's off fighting in the war, maybe inevitably they will bump into her. So yeah, everything with like the mystery of what actually happened was quite cool, and the fact that Kyoshi just came along and actually confessed. You'd think like, oh, we're going to prove her innocent, stuff like that. There's going to be more to it. And I don't think, based on what we saw, Kyoshi was actually, she indirectly caused the death, I suppose. But it was a stupid guy's fault for just standing on the edge of a crumbling cliff, getting all angry. Just one step back, that's all he needed. But also, he seemed to be quite tyrannical, so I'm not too mad at that. And yeah, getting the origin of Kyoshi Island was really fun and cool to see. And, it's a taste as well, because as cool as it would be to see Aang be able to like master all these elements so quickly, because they could do a lot of cool stuff with it, we kind of have to make the journey there, and allow enough time for Aang to master all the different elements. Because I imagine he won't be like proper full avatar maybe until like the very end of the show. So it's nice to get a glimpse of what it is like for the avatar to have everything mastered in flashbacks with other avatars, even if we're not going to see maybe much of Aang actually at that point. I could be wrong, and I'd like to think I'm wrong, because I'd love to see him do all this cool shit and like master all the elements at the same time, make a whole ass island and just like send it flying away into sea. That was all cool, so I like that we got a glimpse of what Aang can hopefully be at some point. And then just lucky with the Fire Nation people attacking, I suppose, and then that kind of caused them to have to rush off at the start. So that, there was a bit of setup there. I do feel like it's kind of a bit of an easy way out, so they could just change his sentence if he like saved them, and then suddenly they're just cool with him just because he saved them one time from the Fire Nation. But I guess that shows the threat of the Fire Nation and what a big deal it really is. Just surviving one attack from a group of like 4 or 5 of them is enough for them to completely change their traditions about what Avatar Day should be. So, I guess there's a bit of convenience there, but I don't mind it necessarily, because it's cool to see Aang get some recognition, and already he is making, some big strides as an avatar who hasn't even mastered all the elements yet. He's still kind of getting celebrated and stuff. So that was really cool, and just the visuals of like the floats of the past avatars and Aang was quite fun. So I liked everything they did with that, and just the beginnings, I think, the true beginnings of the legacy that Aang will leave behind when future avatars come along after he's gone. But I think that's kind of a while off yet. I like to think so, considering he's like 12 or 13, whatever it was. And the other people in the cell with him, the fact that they were presented as like, ooh, we're going to rough you up, kid, but they're actually just kind of softies. I liked that twist with them. Even if it was just a little thing and you didn't really need it, it was a fun addition, and I think it showcased that Aang still thinking about Katara in a romantic style way, probably thinking about their kiss in episode 2, and they were just like, oh, she'll fall for you eventually, don't worry. So that's still kind of a thing going on in the background. They haven't directly addressed it since episode 2. They haven't talked about it or anything, so it's cool to see Aang is still kind of having those feelings and stuff, as he probably will for, the show. I imagine that's just going to be quite a slow burn, and we'll see how it all kind of ends up. But I liked that. And then I guess the only other main thing is the Zuko and Iroh thing. Seeing Zuko kind of suit up again as the Blue Spirit, stealing money, stealing food, stealing all these items that they can use to try and recreate even a glimpse of the life they once had when they could command ships and had a life of luxury, their own bed to sleep in. They still felt a sense of that power, and they actually felt like even if they were like banished or whatever, not in favour of the Fire Lord, they could still feel like royalty. we saw Zuko very much struggling with that in the last episode. He didn't like the fact that they had to beg for things, and he felt it was beneath them and who they are to have to do that. But reality comes crashing down. I liked Iroh being very wise and subdued about it, very logical, considered as he is, because he's wise and wonderful. And I enjoyed Zuko's frustration with that, because I think it makes a lot of sense. Again, he's very young as well. That's all he'd been used to. He's going to be like, well, it's unfair that that's just taken away from me now. And it probably super stings because, you know, his sister is still in favour with their dad and she still has it all. That's probably going to feel, you know, very personal. And he has been so close a couple of times to actually bringing the Avatar to his father, and it ultimately didn't work out and stuff like that. And he was just completely banished, and he's still probably reeling and quite hurt from that. So any way he can recapture the good old days as he probably sees them, but hopefully in time and on his own journey he will learn to realise, like, that life kind of sucked. I'd like to think so anyway. I think he's had a lot more growth and meaning on the run with Iroh than he did his entire life, like his life in the Fire Nation. As a person, you know, I think he's grown much better and healthier as the Blue Spirit and of his own accord, not part of the Fire Nation, but I don't think he's realised that yet. So I liked that kind of journey for them, and Iroh instilling this message in Zuko, and I guess that was the moment, like, well, you know, this dynamic that we have, we've probably explored everything we can with it. If I've learned all the lessons that I can from you, the only way maybe both of us can now grow, especially because they have focused on the bond between those two since the beginning of the show. They've kind of explored lots of avenues with it. There's probably not much more they could do with it, to be honest, as much as I like seeing them together and exploring that dynamic. I think it does make sense that they would part ways at this point, even though it's quite sad, and I will miss those two together, and I'm sure they will meet again one day, and I will probably get quite emotional. And it is one of my favourite relationships in the show, I think, between Zuko and Iroh, because they're just really interesting characters, and Iroh is just such a great guy as well. But I think the big growth is that Zuko did actually really consider what Iroh was saying, about, you know, there's no shame in poverty, stuff like that. Maybe it was just a case of, I've thought about it, I really disagree about that. So maybe it's just not going to be healthy for us, and I don't want us to fall out if I'm just going to keep going around stealing some shit and living this life of luxury as best I can. Maybe it's just best for the sake of our relationship that we part ways. But also I feel like it's just maybe more so, you know, I've learned all I can from you right now, you've learned all you can from me. Maybe he doesn't want to be that burden, he doesn't want to get Iroh in trouble if he gets ever caught stealing any of this stuff. So they kind of have to go their separate ways, and I hope we continue to follow Zuko and Iroh on their own separate paths and see what happens, see what they get up to, how they kind of deal with it. But this is kind of a huge deal for both of them as characters in the show, and I'm excited to see like what they're gonna really do and grow, change, learn on their own. I think Zuko is obviously going to go through some huge changes just on his own. I'm very interested in, is he going to fall, you know, even further into this kind of stealing thing, life of luxury, or has he kind of started to pick up on the lessons that Iroh is teaching him? Is he going to change properly? Is he going to bump into Aang again? That's kind of what I'm hoping for. But we'll see. He might even just bump into his sister and it's going to get quite awkward again. Anything can happen, but I'm quite excited to see where that's going to go. As sad as it is that they are parting ways. And I liked Iroh actually giving up the like weird horse thing that Zuko stole a few episodes back. Gave it to him, being like, there you go, so you don't have to steal something else, take this. So a subtle way of being like, please learn my lessons, please, you don't need this life to steal things, and you know, make your own way. So I kind of like the subtlety behind that as well. Lots of interesting potential for where both their stories can go, but but I'm sure they'll find each other again at some point. If not, I will be very sad. But yeah, that's a bold new direction for them, I suppose, and he can kind of make his own path now, and he can kind of carve his own destiny and his own legacy in the world if he goes off on his own, much like Aang kind of did in this one, with, you know, reimagining what Avatar Day can be, and he's being celebrated for saving this village. So again, like some like potential nice parallels between Aang and Zuko, which the show often does, and does very, very well. So yeah, I'm very excited for Zuko's journey in particular, I think, going forward. A lot of change for him, but I hope we still also follow Iroh just being the best and living his best life. And yet again, the journey continues for Aang and co. I liked that the boomerang joke as well, that they clearly did set up when he lost the boomerang at the start, like, oh, you do always come back to me. I like that he did end up getting it back, and he had a bit of an identity crisis about that. It's like, who am I without this this boomerang? And in a way that parallels Zuko wondering who he is without all these material things. That's why he's desperately holding on to that. I think he's going to discover who he is going forward, as the Blue Spirit, I imagine still. That mask is so cool. But yes, overall, another really good episode. I look forward to seeing what's going to be happening next. But yeah, I think that's basically everything I want to talk about, but some real interesting stuff, as there often is with Avatar. So lots to unpack. Looking forward to seeing where they go with it. And until my next reaction, thanks for watching.